for success elsewhere, all right? But it's a shining example that it doesn't have to be that way. And in my conversation with him earlier today, he still said some things that I hope during his session is going to talk about. So enough of talk, let me read the profile of Mr. Liang. Kai is the Director of Business Development for Mel Science, the world's leading innovation science education content maker with award-winning VR and AR content. He's also co-founded Smartstone Technologies in Sydney, Mel Scholar in UK, as well as Spaces.io, leading Metaverse platform company after serving as the directors of a number of innovative education technology companies. Kai is a social entrepreneur with many successes in funding and deals, as well as respected mentor, international speaker, and advisor of startups. Kai will be speaking on the future of education and building digital social enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us show Mr. Kai Liang some love. Drop your emojis and let's make him welcome to IGlow 2023. Mr. Kai, if you are there, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Victor. Absolutely an honor to be invited and to be able to contribute to this great cause, and also have the opportunity to meet so many young, creative, and passionate minds, I should say. I'm currently in London. I know most of you are somewhere around mainland China. I come from Beijing, by the way, but that was many, many years ago. And I've been in England for 33 years. Haven't been back to China for more than 3 years for very obvious reasons. But I'm really glad to say that this would finally change. I will be in Beijing on 17th of May. And so this trip will be about 7 weeks around China. So hopefully we will have a chance to meet together in person. But today, I just want to support IGlow and support my friend Victor, and to share some of the work and thought with you. And hopefully this inspire more confidence and also inspire more questions and potentially inspire some future collaboration. And so without, I have prepared a PPT. Let me share my screen. Victor, can you enable me to share the screen, please?
All right, it's done.
Yeah. I do apologize in advance that I'm still recovering from the flu. Oh yeah, so it's quite interesting that Victor mentioned the importance of family, and I'll share quite a few interesting pictures that I had recently. So people who know me know that I play a lot of golf, and here's I play in a golf course called Hampton Court Palace golf course, which is a very well-known location in London. The course belongs to a charity called Get Golfing, and I'm lucky enough to be the ambassador of Hampton Court. So I recently played in the Ambassador Cup of Get Golfing, which is a charity. So it's really nice occasion. And now we obviously share a lot of thought about how charity should contribute to the development of community. And for those of you who has been to a golf course and who hopefully play golf would know that golf course act as a center of the ecological business community and a kind of a social fabric that is really important for local communities in UK and in many parts in the world. Of course, in China, the policy on golf course is somewhat complicated, and but that is outside the scope of today's discussion. So, as the ambassador of Hampton Court Palace Golf Club, and I'm a part of the core team to enable Get Golfing as a charity to contribute to our local community. That includes partnership with NHS and supporting junior golfers and to provide free school meals for children with certain difficulties and other initiatives. And I just want to share here that I'm personally leading a new initiative that is not covered here yet to actually use every golf course to be a center of ecological and environmental education as well as communication. So it's quite important for me. And about the family, of course, I play a lot of golf, and I do need to represent my club to play against a club called Camberley Heath. And so this is me taking my mom with me when I do a reconnaissance round in Camberley Heath. So because I'm going to play against this club on Sunday. 5 of us play against them. So best of 5. So that is me, and that is my mom. And she's very happy because I'm taking her to a breathtakingly beautiful golf course. As you can see from the picture, it's just amazing. Beautiful trees and lots of heathers and very sublime landscape and a very top golf course. And of course, going in the afternoon, you just have the the light, and London weather is as grim as ever. So you start to see this, you start to feel the challenge, and this ball has to carry over this kind of like little valley to land on the green of the other side. Of course, this particular shot, I didn't quite make it, but this is the occasion I'm taking my 80 years old mom to have a 4 hours of walk with me in beautiful landscape. And of course, we chat, we discuss things, and kind of like, and we share things, and we will stop for a break. And I felt that perhaps this is the best thing I can do to look after my mom, who is 80. And in fact, if she can still walk around in such a length in this kind of places at age of 90, I think I've achieved something. So I think for a son, if we can look at your mom and make her happy, I think that's truly a great thing. Of course, in addition to that, my wife and my son has been to golf courses with me many times. When you see landscape of this, you start to feel the importance. You start to feel the passion, the love, of how man and nature could coexist, and you can generate value, you can generate pleasure, and with golf as a sport, immense industry is created, and a lot of value is built, a lot of love is created. So I think these things it's kind of happened 2 days ago. So I think it's really good for us to share. And this little jacket of mine it says Ambassador Club, and it's actually just given to me after the Ambassador Club. So there you go. So a little bit of example when to follow Victor's introduction early on. Anyway, back to the main subject of today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about education for a sustainable future. And so I think this is really play right into the core concept of IGlow conference. So even though Victor and we've never even met each other, and just now was the first time I see him in person, but we already had a lot of casual conversation leading up to this particular event. So as you can see, that trust is built in the most amazing way these days, and hopefully the rest of my speech would help us to discover new ground. If you go to Google and you search Kai Liang space either VR or AR or XR or educate, you will find plenty about me. And of course, one Indian press actually rated me as one of the top influencers or leaders within the kind of like VR and AR community or industry in Asia. And so I think that's a nice thing to be recognized and to be connected, and it's kind of really helpful so that I can give up more value and to utilizing technology to actually improve the efficiency and efficacy of what we do, and most importantly, include education. And this is one device that is an example to take us forward in this revolution. Of course, with device and with a new medium, give us more and more exciting, more effective way of communicating to each other. So that is a chance to build value. And we are living in a tricky time, of course, and a very exciting time. On one hand, we have all these exciting recent advance and breakthroughs with artificial intelligence, I don't think we need to talk about ChatGPT. Everybody is talking about that left and right center. I think we can all conclude that AI is finally here. That is definitely going to have a major impact of our life and of the business environment we're going to contribute to, and of course, in fundamentally upgrade or change or challenge everything we do. In the meantime, right now, as I said, Victor and I never had a chance to meet each other. This is previously, it's quite unthinkable because normally, even though I live in London, but I would go to China at least 3 or 4 times a year. As we can see later on, I even co-founded a company in Sydney. Normally I travel a lot, but because of this one global pandemic, traveling was just basically turned off all of a sudden for a good part of 2 years. It's only last year I started to travel to Europe. And then I spent 4 months in Southeast Asia, but traveling to China is still, in my opinion, quite inconvenient. But finally, I'm able to do that next month. Now, what does pandemic mean to all of us? It is, I think it's a wake-up call. Everybody has different interpretation of this global event. Depends on your point of view, depends on your position, depends on your priority. It depends on what happened to you personally. And I think that touched all of us quite personally and changed the community and the way we work quite profoundly. And may I say, irreversibly. Even though traveling is coming back, it's never going to be the same before. I also think this is the wake-up call from the nature against a lot of irreversible effect that mankind has already placed on the community. It may have something to do with the lack of biodiversity. It may have something to do of the really more and more kind of evasive actions that we touch the nature. Yeah, it might have something to do with the fact that we're touching more wildlife and then the kind of like and the overpopulation. There are lots of things. You can see more and more occurrence of global pandemic these days. It may have something to do with the food we eat has too much growth hormone in it, and there are lots of issues. But I'm not going to be here to say exactly why, because this is such a complicated structure. But I think we can all agree something needs to be done. I think we have passed the tipping point. Something needs to be done fast, probably yesterday, but we still have chance. And if we don't do that, it's us who is going to face a lot of challenge in addition to the environment that we all live in. Okay? Now, today I'm going to talk about 4 subjects. I will try to do it as early as possible. First, I will discuss something about the importance of learning real science. And I'll place the word early. Early is important. And it's about learning real science, not science for the exam. You can get 100% on your physics and chemistry exam. It doesn't mean that you really understand science. And it means even less for you to be able to use science effectively to contribute to your life and your community and community by and large, all mankind. So science learning, real science learning, I think is super important. And I devote a majority part of my personal effort on this endeavor. Secondly, it's important storytelling. For us to be able to share our idea to others, to enable others to share ideas to even more people is super important. And I think storytelling can be enhanced tremendously with new technology in an environmentally friendly way. And I'll give everybody an example of that. Thirdly, Victor asked me to talk about the future way of working. So I'll give you an example of a future way of working, which is on the Metaverse platform, which is a company I co-founded myself, and it's based in Australia, so it's quite interesting. And again, I'm not able to meet them again for the last 3.5 years, but together we have done amazing things together. And last but not least, it's about what I did so far for the great cause of education to help us to protect the environment. So without further ado, let's jump straight to the first subject of the beauty of science learning. And here I will share a very quick 1.5 minutes video, and I hope the sound works, and let's enjoy. going to continue to talk about continue to play, so I'll interrupt in the interest of time. And as you can see from that 1-minute video, there are several key elements. Number one, it's about kids really doing a science experiment. And it's a science experiment that is really beautiful. It works, first of all. And it inspires interest. It inspires question to be asked. And it inspires observation, inspires sharing with others. And you can also feel that the experiment is joined between parent and kid. And that helps to kind of reinforce the love, the bonding, and the participation of the parents to the education, and maybe search for answers together. So, and also you see some utilization of latest technology in AR and VR, but most importantly, using high quality content that truly give you help you to understand the most challenging concept within science, happening on a very microscopic level or happening very fast. All these are very important to actually introduce science in an effective way, in an interesting way, in an engaging way. And so that is a company that I work as a BD director for. It's called Mel Science. What does Mel Science stand for? It means make everyone love science. And we're trying to quite unique. We're the only company in the world that has a physical science set to get people to enjoy science hands-on. In the meantime, we build and enable a lot of interactive science education content. We build them all ourselves. And finally, we utilize virtual reality. And of course, soon, more innovative, high quality augmented reality, and in the future, mixed reality. And we actually have a very strong artificial intelligence layer to support our platform. So that make us quite unique. And we focus on science. We don't do anything else. Mel Science only focus on science. And of course, after you've done the experiment, it makes it easier for you to give you the interest to try to understand what's happening, and make it easier to actually understand the little concept that is important within each science experiment. And yes, this is quite complicated, what's happening on formula level, on the molecular level, for the atom. But of course, for younger kids, we can make science more accessible, make it more easy. You can build a little flying machine. And so we have specific product called MelSTEM to kind of like introduce science in a very effective way for the age of 5 to 10. And we do so with hands-on building like real science. You can see toys, or you can see equipment, you can see machinery, and we enable further learning with a set of really lovely and effective augmented reality program that you can superimpose on this science equipment or this apparatus you just built. And we will show the kind of like the real science, why things happens. And we effectively have an interactive augmented reality enabled lesson for the kids side by side with this little toy that he or she just built, or the parents has contributed together. And this particular thing will teach you how a hairdryer is built, and in the meantime, to introduce the concept of centrifugal force, and again the thrust of the rocket, and also why sound can happen at different pitch, all introduced in this kind of interactive and effective way, including the angle, the current hit, and you can literally repeat this experiment with real things at the same time. So that's how effective science, how fun science is, and how concept can be introduced. And you will notice that in all this experience, there is no exam. But guess what? If children actually go through and hands-on and kind of like enjoy science deeply, and in any of this background, either in a museum or in the library or in the schools or at home, we call this kind of like science learning infrastructure, yeah? And then they can become really clever kid, a really happy kid. And this is a kind of the video or YouTube channel built by my own son. And I never force my son. I never kind of push my son to learning for exams. But I actually, obviously, I have the benefit of being the director of Mel Science. I have all this equipment. And my son, after he enjoyed 1 or 2 experiments, he said, "Daddy, this is super cool. So actually he made a lot of videos of his science experiment. And so he is able to become really creative. He learned how to edit video by himself, all by himself, and add music to it, add caption to it. And he built this channel, and even the logo is designed by himself. You can see the influence of chemistry on him with color, with design. So science learning is not just about learning science. It's about observation. It can inspire creativity, and it's about sharing. Because of this, my son then became the young videographer of the year in UK, and he was invited to be a journalist to join COP26. So we know that is only kind of environmental major event happening in UK, in Glasgow. I live in London, so I drove 8 hours to send him to Glasgow and to be with him whole day. And next day, he, after all the event, after all the meeting, he said, "Daddy, I want to come back." But that's what daddies do, right? For your family. But in the meantime, I can tell you that my son actually is one of the top students in Hampton School. Hampton School is one of the top 10 private school in United Kingdom. But he was there never because I put him in kind of evening class to learn how to pass exams. I never do that. But he was there because he was just truly interested in science, and he was able to share, able to observe, able to create, able to have this confidence. So he was able to understand things. And as I say this, it's a real science. Science was developed because based on observation, based on come up with a series, based on the attempt to use the understanding to solve the problem. And that problem will have the certain benefit to the community, to mankind, and ultimately to yourself and your family. You've got to be able to have this job to be able to feed the family, to be able to continue to contribute. So it's all a cycle. But I think by watching my son using the product created by my own company, I can see this happening. And he able to get there, not by forcing to learn for exams, and but he was able to get there happily. So I think this creates a much better future. And I hope this can happen to a lot more families in a lot more countries. So after a Mel Science, I also co-founded a company called Mel Scholar. As you can see, it's led by MEL, Make Everyone Laugh. So Scholar means that we want to help schools to actually teach science effectively. And we focus on primary schools. If you think your kind of childhood years, I know everybody is kind of in adult years here, but if you remember that, you kind of learn science in a much more supportive way when you are in secondary school, right? Chemistry, physics, all in secondary school. Have you learned any science when you were in kindergartens? No. Have you learned science in a structured way at primary school level? No. Because can you imagine a primary school teacher? If there is a science teacher, she or he has to teach everything. And we're talking about everything within the scope of physics, chemistry, biology, geology, space, or you name it, medicine. I mean, children have very inquisitive mind. He or she is gonna ask the teacher, so teacher, what is happening here? So, and also another aspect of primary school teacher is that most of them come from a literature or English or history background, and they become teachers. Yeah, the people who do well in school for science, like myself, we don't become teacher. We will go to become accountant or a consultant or go into investment banking. That's just the fact of life. But a teacher, especially in primary school, is super duper important for the growth of every kid, and that then contribute to the core of the social fabric in the future. So we would help this teacher with a complete set of science teaching curriculum, teaching pedagogy document, and also the science demo kit, and also the science kind of like the student science experiment kit, and also all the support and all the training. So we provide this all-around service. Now this service, this product never existed before. So between Daniel and myself, we created this from scratch. Within a year, we already sold it to a number of schools in US, number of schools in UK, number of schools in Hong Kong. We're talking with partners in Korea, in Africa, in other part of Europe, And there are only two of us. And one of the reasons I come to China is because I won a few important entrepreneurial competitions in China with Small Scholar. So I already had local companies set up in China. So I need to come here to transfer the shares to myself and also to push for things and push the meeting to happen. So that's a way for me, certainly, to help to improving education. And I think science education is a super important part of that. And if those of you who watch the news, you probably remember during the pandemic, President Donald Trump, who is a very colorful character and very interesting, he once said that he wants to push for the fast track development of COVID vaccine. And I remember that in a press conference, he actually said live, he said, well, one way to solve it is to inject detergent to people's skin to help to get rid of this virus. And at that moment, the chief scientist of USA, which was like, oh, I mean, this is the president of the United States, and his level of science literacy is, to the best word, quite appalling. Yeah, but of course, he's a brilliant politician. He's a brilliant businessman, and he's a very influential character. And he has lots of positive characters. That's how he became the man who holds the most powerful job in the world. However, if he has better science literacy, perhaps United States would be able to contribute even more, and there will be a lot less deaths in USA and to the rest of the world. So I think that's a real example of how important basic science education is. And with this, there's a lot of STEAM project that can be born from this. So that is a core subject of a lot of my partnership talk these days with people from all over the world. And that then contribute to a continuous improvement of the community we all share. And I also remember an example where a couple of Canadian high school students invented a better way to help a quicker decomposition of plastic. Imagine the positive benefit that can have for all of us, for the environment that we all share. And all this come from good background of science learning. And also, if you learn science well, you have a habit of not jumping to conclusion of or form extreme view about something. That perhaps will help us to have more peace and have more dialogue, to have more understanding, rather than resort to conflict and arms race in the future. Anyway, that subject probably go a little bit outside the scope of today's meeting. Let me quickly move to the second subject of art of storytelling, which is a very important part of our work and of our life. In the meantime, while art storytelling is important, we should also notice that virtual reality devices has become much more higher quality, much more comfortable, much cheaper, and the technology is truly mature. Indeed, all of us will use mobile phones with either Apple AR Kit or Google's AR Core technology on the phone, or of course, Huawei also have their own XR technology layer. So all this will provide us with adequate and with a cheap enough and with totally accessible Metaverse enabled device to enable us to actually enjoy a new way of telling the stories. Now I'm telling the story with PPT. What about the future? Enjoy. And that is the beauty of how XR content making and technology can can tremendously enhance the way we learn things, we share things with others, and it's the future is never the same. And my son actually programmed with CoSpaces on TV in a country called Malta, right in the middle of Mediterranean Ocean, on TV as well. And it is really easy to program and to create great content with CoSpaces. And CoSpaces, incidentally, is a company based in Munich, Germany, and the founder of CoSpaces is a very good friend with the founder and CEO of Now Science. So that's how we originally get to know each other. And to create content with CoSpaces cannot possibly be easy. And I'll just fast track. So this is an example of how you can create this beautiful Oriental garden with reflections. You just like drop and repeat and copy this this little pagoda, and you then set a layer, you set a transparency and layer, and then here very soon you have this beautiful content creation, and you can set certain event to happen, so that then become interactive, and look how grateful that is, how beautiful that is. And another good feature of CoSpace is after content is created, when you are looking at the content, if you're looking at the content on a phone, and some other people can probably change things via Internet Explorer, Internet browser, and somebody else will change things on the VR devices, and you will see changes happen pretty much at a real time. So that's open to collaborative communication and work. Really, give it a try. It stands for the link name is basically CoSpaces EDU.
Use the more sticks.
I'm not going to play this video, but this video essentially tells the importance of storytelling, and that's CoSpaces. We mentioned the third subject I will introduce today is about the kind of like the challenge of platform. Of course, the platform help us to learn and to train, to learn new skills, but also to pass new ideas, but also to talk to each other, to kind of co-create things with each other. And how do we do that? Tomorrow or yesterday or today, especially when people are further away from each other. And hopefully, if we want to protect the environment better, reduce the carbon emission, we probably want to make our travel, especially the long distance international flight, kind of like more and more efficient. So less travel in person, get more things done online, and also reduce when I used to need to have a meeting with people in central London, I can tell you that the journey time from my home to London is 1 hour through public transport. In UK, it's really expensive. I know in China, it's much cheaper, but still you need to spend 1 hour or 1.5 hours, just one way. And return, that's 3 hours. Imagine if you can save 2-3 hours of your daily life, get things done online, engage with other people, create contents together, and I kind of have this meeting, not on a Zoom like this, when you can see our pictures, but you can be in a kind of virtual setting. That is actually the platform I co-founded, XSpaces. Enjoy this. So you literally are in a 3D space with object, with interactive chair, with big screen. And the speaker can be small or big. Go through things, and you can bring 3D object. It's both moving or stationary. And the highlight object is moving. Cell, share 2D videos, and 3D videos, everything that dissect 3D models. This space we built for the top primary school in Australia, the Knox Grammar School, and it has lots of real life during the pandemic time for this. so that's the end of the video. And of course, this can be used for office. We have hosted perhaps about 500 global events till now, including event where more than 1,000 people joined on the Earth Day, April 22nd last year, and we have kind of served people and corporate in many countries. And Xspaces these days have a JV based in Beijing called Converse, and we just hosted a Metaverse concert last weekend in memory of Zhang Guorong, which is a top singer who really talented, unfortunately killed himself, committed suicide on 1st of April, many years ago. So he has lots of fans. And so in this Metaverse concept, we shared a lot of previously not opened or really precious clips, and we dropped NFTs. So that's how a platform like this can inspire and can act as a foundation for a lot more value to be created, and for communication to be conducted much more effectively. And of course, this virtual conference can be recorded. You can almost like have a holographic recording of the event, and you can work among yourself. You can look at what you did, what you said before to other people who might be in the left or right or center of you. Very interesting. Of course, Xspaces is not the only platform delivering this, but we're one of the best platforms in the world. And sorry about the cough. So that's opened up a lot of future. And I always enjoy this part from the film Matrix.
Now, supposed to start with these operation programs first. That's Major Bar and Shed. Let's do something a little more fun. How about combat training? Jiu-jitsu. I'm going to learn jiu-jitsu.
And then he was able to
How about some more?
to fight. Yeah, so that's really important entertainment part of the film Matrix. You never know. Future learning might be as easy as that. So let's get there. Finally, and the number 4 subject I want to mention, which actually is a top passion of mine, even though I spend less time on this compared with Mount Scholar and Mount Science. It's actually the first virtual reserve in the world. We use this to educate people about the importance of biodiversity. We want to connect people to the nature and connect organizations who are all share the passion of the protection, and ultimately to serve the purpose to protect the environment, to reduce the loss of biodiversity, and to help us to manage the climate and environment better in the future. And I have a very short video to give you an overall introduction about Immersion. It's a UK-based company where the management team all come from France. And they have actually went around the world capturing a lot of images in virtual reality, 360 degrees. And we made that into movie. Offline, we have social in 15 different countries. That list is growing. If you don't have VR devices, use a gyro sensor and phone tablet to look at the and we also use a lot of kids to enjoy, to treasure hunting, and to learn about all animals, our environment, and the feel, the smell, the shape. Meantime, make themselves and their parents and their community very happy. While Immersion did a lot of content in the past, but we're also making more content in the future. So this is the new content we're currently working on about the forest. Enjoy this. super artistic and super educational, full of passion. That is wild immersion, and that is what we do for all our contents. We have a growing list of global partners, and we're definitely come to China, and that's why I'm come to the city of Shenyang to open up a subsidiary office there. And the content has already been sold to China Mobile and ByteDance, by the way. And we hopefully, with certain audience here, we can bring this wonderful content and also the education value to a lot more community and help us to protect the environment better. So this is some examples of real offline VR cinemas we built as virtual reserve, and alongside the virtual reserve, and where kids can draw and can engage, can share, and can learn. So that, I hope, it's the end for now of my speech. Hope you enjoyed that, and this is how to contact me for further questions. But of course, if you have any immediate question, I hope I have some time to answer right now. Back to you, Victor.
All right. Thank you so much. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, definitely. Perfect.
Wow, that's quite profound and exhaustive. Thank you so much for the detailed presentation. It's always good to see the video animation of the VR, even though we still desire to see more